suggestion is that we need to use this money for road repaving and purposes now. During the, you mentioned a deficit for the next couple of years. I think it's important. We're on TV tonight? Yeah. For people that might be watching, that we aren't projecting an ongoing deficit. We're projecting a deficit because we chose a number of years ago for a 3-year period to phase in the taxes of West Clay to get that annexation done, now what we call Southwest Carmel. That's the only reason we have a deficit in 13 and 14. We had one in 12 as well. In 15, again, we'd start to bring in more revenue than expense, and that continues out into the future. So it's not an ongoing thing. This is a planned. What we didn't plan was that recession that seemed to take place, happened to come at the same time. But we had planned to spend more than we brought in because we knew it was good long-term value. And those of us that were all on the council when that annexation was proposed and then when it was settled, we remember that. I have a suggestion on the rainy day fund. I think we need to use it because that was... But I have a suggestion that may make you feel better about it, Councilor. That was money that only because the state didn't account very well for our co-op fund, we had always assumed that we would use the revenues of the general fund to support this annexation, the deficit that we're going to have for 3 years because we made the decision to phase in or abate the taxes. We had made that decision to do that years ago. And Mr. Coonrod had, with his firm, very carefully calculated the amount of county average income we should count on out in the future. Unfortunately, we found out a few years ago it was much reduced. Then a couple of years later, we found out, no, we're wrong. Basically, our projection was more or less right, and the state paid several years' worth of shortages to us in a special distribution. They've done that twice because they didn't account for it on an ongoing basis and pay us. Normally, we get our county option income tax money or COIT on a monthly payment based on what's happened a couple of years earlier. And so instead, we got a special distribution, and because a lot of cities don't have the, I don't mean to brag, but the sophisticated sort of planning that we have in Carmel, they might think, oh, this is going to repeat itself every year. And so the state said, we have a solution to that. We'll make you pay it into we'll pay it into the rainy day fund by law. In our case, where we anticipated getting what we did indeed get, we had planned on that money coming in to our general fund to support the annexation. That said, I like the idea of a rainy day fund too. And so even though we use it now, what I suggest we do is put into our fiscal plan, beginning in 2015, $1 million a year. They want to put it in the fiscal plan, so when 2015 comes, somebody can hold this up and say, see what they did back in 2012? They agreed to do this. To start putting $1 million back to get a balance back in that rainy day fund and have that in our planning. So when someone proposes a bond, say, wait a minute, we've all agreed we're going to put $1 million back in that rainy day fund starting in 2015. We can't use that money to incorporate it into our long-term fiscal planning. That's my suggestion. But I really think we've promised our taxpayers we don't want to cut services. We've promised the folks that were pre-existing in Carmel before Southwest Carmel came in or Southwest Clay came in, that we wouldn't cut services because of the annexation. I think we need to keep that promise. But we need to use that rainy day fund now to support what we promised several years ago.